I'm very happy to be here. I feel that it will be very productive and all the people that are here are very interested. So my task is to try to show and to describe, to give a taste of how the crisis is perceived and lived in Italy, what kind of results it has. Because the first thing that I have to say is that sometimes it's difficult to understand and to know what things derive directly from the crisis and what derive just from a process that someone have described as a restoration of class power. After the 70s, after all the fights that were changing a lot of countries in Europe, we had a restoration of class power. So it's something that comes from some of the poverty, some of the inequality, some of the exploitation. It's something that has been built. But probably what we can say is that the crisis is just one piece of this restoration, because the crisis derived from a society that believed that profit comes before all, a society that believed that to make profit you have not to be controlled, so the finance that were growing and growing more of the real economy, we have said very often. It's something that has to do with this big power of the upper class. So I will try to show also how is the Italian society nowadays, in these days. But first of all, this is a quotation of a sociologue that has been studying, especially the Fiat factory and the workers' movement, etc. But he's one that now is saying something that also David Harvey said, this restoration of class power as something very significant, very important to describe the society now. So he said that if we compare how is described the crisis in the United States, where there come out this movement that say 99% against the 1%. So it was very clear, the idea behind it. In Europe, we don't have a similar thing, and also in Italy. Gallino, this sociologist, say, we know that there is a reason. The country in which the population have been hit harder by the financial crisis from its first beginning in 2007 was only United Kingdom. In other European Union countries, the effect on the daily life, the working condition, the welfare state, the human cost of the crisis was less perceived, even if their government has spent or created through European Central Bank trillion of euro. Trillion, it means a one with 18 zero. I remember, because there were also always differences in European way of saying as the American one, to contain the flooding of all the financial economy. But it's also interesting to say that we can't say that it's only about the bubble, the housing bubble, of course. It is, and again, I use Luciano Gallino, that he say, it is true that there is a part of the crisis that comes from the bubble, the housing bubble, but there is something more. There is something more that has to do with how the financial system is have been pathologic. What means that the gross amount of the financial system exceeds several times the value of the real economy. The most of its operations have manifestly a speculative aim instead of a productive one, and extremely high proportion of the movement of the capital that are held in the system are consciously taken away from any form of effective regulation by the authorities and by law, which have to watch on it. On the basis of this explanatory model, the crises have been caused by a pathological, abnormal structure of the system. And this have to do with the enormous power that the financial systems have. That means the power not to be controlled, the power to do what they want, also to invent a system of getting money from the people and use it for his purpose. But it's very interesting and this I do also to show how in Italy is perceived. What happened is that the mainstream description of crisis is that the reason for the crisis is because there is a growing public debt of the state that is not as it is. It's not seen as it is. That is. So, Luciano Gallino said that there is the masterpiece of finance capitalismo. He invested the word finance capitalismo, that means a capitalism that is most financial one. What have we done? The description is that this kind of capitalism represent the growing public debt that there is in reality of the state, not as a long-term effect of his own acting, his own profligacy, but as if it is caused by too generous working condition and welfare state. So this is the mainstream description. The debt, the Italian debt is there because there were too much welfare state, there were too much money for the workers, too much money for the pension, etc. Of course, it's not true. There was a financial system that were just robbing money. And there is also another point, that what we most perceived as crisis in Italy is not so much coming from as in other countries, as the housing bubble and other things like that, but are just a measure against the crisis that the government creates. So it is a crisis that is heavy on us, mainly because of the uses of the crisis that the government do. And yes, about the crisis is used very often by the mainstream discourse to say if we want development, we have to leave out all the rights of the workers, we have to leave out all welfare state. And Stefano Rodotà, that is another politician, Italian one, say the rights have become a luxury, because that is what is said very often. But he suggests that make it easier for capital to use the labor, because in Italy we have a new law that give the possibility to the employer to fire fire workers. the problem is not for sure that the worker has too much right. And we can say the opposite. I mean, the thing that the workers didn't have enough power is the reason for the crisis, you can say. Because if you see the crisis as a result of the very strong power of the ruling class. And then there is also another things. There are, when we talk about the crisis, we also notice that there are people that are getting richer and richer, and this is true also in Italy. So there is a crisis for some people, but from others, it's a point that makes them even stronger and richer. This is a quotation for Harvey, so not about Italy, but we have also the subsidy to Italian bank, the bank that were in crisis because they bought derivatives of kind of very fake kind of financial tools. So we have a lot of this done by our politicians. And if I have to describe Italy, I have to say that it's a very unequal society. And the income, we can say that the 10% of the richer have 50 of the richness of the country, while the 10% of the lower income people have only 50% have only the 10% of the wealth. And we have a big difference, both inequality of income, but also inequality of wealth. So this is a range of different countries. We have 6 times the richer have, if you compare with the, well, just for an example, the CEO of Fiat Auto, Sergio Marchionne, earned 435 times the salary of a worker. And we have also a very low social mobility that we have to say, we have to describe Italy. But that again comes from the 80s. It started a change in the society. While we have more equality also in income and more right to go to the university, kind of social mobility was possible. Now we are back. We are completely stopped in this chance. It's a very fixed society. So if you are from a high level, if you are son of an upper class, you will stay there, and the other will never be able to step. So it's a widening. The inequality are widening, but it's a process that starts after the 70s. But now, with all these measures that the government are taking, the people are really impoverishing. But because the state, that was one of the that give more work, because there were a lot of work in the public sector. Now they are cutting and cutting, so there are no more this kind of things, even in the school or educate to teach, etc. So it's a very bad situation. I have some data, but it's well, towards the reason for which we are stuck in this situation, there are 2 main reasons. First, the dominance of the corporate governments of the paradigm of maximizing shareholder value, but also the labor politics of the government that are just cutting all the rights and taking also the chance, the right to, we have usually as a worker you sign a contract in which you as worker, and you have, of course, now we have no more the chance to discuss about the rights and the wages. They are stopped. They are freezed, you can say. And what about the politics? Because you can say, well, this is the economy. What about the politics? I think the easiest way to express it, to give a glance of what is happening, is revolving doors. It means that the same that are in politics are also bankers. We have examples in Italy, but I know that there are also examples in the United States and in other countries. For example, we have Mario Draghi, now it's in the European Union Bank. He was a functionary of the state, but he also worked for Goldman Sachs. And Romano Prodi, there was one of the main prime minister in Italy, and Mario Monti the same. So you see that there are people that believe in the right to exploit, in the right to make financial exploitation. And now we step in the territorial stuff. I mean, for example, in 2012, one of the first things that the Monti government had done was a decree about privatization. And one of the first points was that the territorial planning have not to upset the entrepreneurial while they look for a land to develop their things. So, or also commercial things, etc. They say this decree of liberalization repealed the rules of territorial planning and territorial control that restrict unreasonably the start of new economic activities. So you imagine what this means for the territory, that we have already a very flexible plan, again, already a lot have been done not to control too much the development, and now also this kind of rules. I can imagine. Then another glimpse. We have a lot of order of eviction. Really many, especially in Tuscany, but not only. It means there are mainly people that are not able to pay. You see, 80, the green one. Of all the eviction, the green one are the ones that are not for because if, the contract is finished, but just because they are not able to pay. And for Tuscany is a bit higher. And someone from Florence will explain how the movement tried to stop this eviction. Again, this data about eviction for not payment is very high, 85%, you see. And now, and again, a glimpse of what is happening. I took some photo, I hope you can see it, just to show you the difference of the chance to use the territory. You see, you recognize the two very nice are Four Seasons Hotel in Palazzo della Gherardesca. It was an historical building, very nice. They renew it without they didn't do it properly in the historical point of view, and there is also a process. How can I say? A court case because they've done it wrong. But look how nice, and look, the people are evicted. It's a wrong camp, and it's evicted. They are not allowed also to have that. They can't have that. They have to go away. While you have these people, this wonderful. And that's an occupation, but again with the police. Yes, you can occupy, you can squat, but still you have to face always the police, while there are some other people in the same town that are living like that. Some other photo, again, Rome camp, and again, the Four Seasons Hotel. You know that the economy now, also the discourse is to say, well, the only one that can pay are the rich, so let's go in the business for the rich, let's sell for the rich, let's make tourism for the rich, etc. And again, this is another important real estate development in Florence. That is Palazzo Tornabuoni, is a residence, and some photo of the residence, and the opposite, the only chance that the other have to get something. So this is the movement, the housing fight movement that make demonstration to get. And again, these are some photos of the residence of Four Seasons Hotel. And again, people evicted that have to face all this police. You see the people with the bag. It's really awful. And the fight, because there are fights, of course. There are fights. I leave it there. And I think this is a key point. This is Marco Revelli, a very good writer and politician and sociologist. It's worth to read it. I read it to you. It is well known that 10% of the Italian population grabs almost the half of the national wealth, while 50% of Italians arrive at having 10%. Yet it is commonplace, contrast the reason of young people to those of others. Older workers more guaranteed, fathers overly protected, pensioners too early, teachers excessively uncontrolled, etc. As if all the competitive dynamic, the only conceivable conflict, not could be played with logic there soon on low band of, I translated, sorry. It means that there is also this fight. The people say, there's a, but only in the law. The people are angry to each other socially because they can get social housing and I don't, and the other have the pension and I don't, but never thinks to get the money where they are, where you have to get it. So where the wealth is, there. Nobody say, or is not very often said that to fight poverty, we have to fight richness. So we have to take money where they are. So as if, he say, as if the wealth of the rich was untouchable. So nobody can touch it, so nobody talk about this. If redistribution there must be, it's between the already scarce resources of others. Call to content for the crowds of income and rights that have not evaporated in the circuit of abstract global finance and remain below, and they are very visible. Yeah. No, I want to. I go to some examples. Yes, I will show some example of the state of emergency. In Italy, we have a lot of use of this state of emergency because to overcome there are few rules that have to be followed in the urban redevelopment. But with the idea that you have to do it very fast. For example, this was the auditorium in Florence that was meant to be built for the 150 years from the reunion of the start of Italian nation. So this was an example of this. And there is also a criminal investigation for good competition, of course, that is, this developed also a kind of undemocratic policies. And this is something that is not new in some way, but it is growing in our context. For example, this theater was get as a contract for 100 million, and then it require more and more. And this has to do also with corruption. That is something that has to do with the political system. That was in a... Yeah, I wanted to show you some other example that make also grow a fight against it. That is, it means that in the local authority you have the government and the parliament, and more decisions are taken by the government, like also before, of course, but public-private partnership, occasional cities, so to get what the proposals are. Well, I will read it, but yeah. No, I close with the quotation of David Harvey that I like. That's the finish. During a crisis, the irrationality of capitalism is under the eyes of all. Capital is always about growth, and people stop talking about crisis when we get 3% compound growth minimum. The whole world is saturated with that growth. If we start to think about the zero growth economy, that is a non-capitalistic economy. And that's, yeah.